Have you ever thought about what it would be like to own your life? This is what I think it means to own your life. When you subtract out the sleeping time, commuting time, working time, and time for things that you have to do each and every day of your life, most people don't have more than 1 to 2 hours a day to do what they would like to do, and then would they have the money to do it? We have discovered a way that a person can learn how to own your life by building an online business. And we have a system for doing it that is so simple anybody can do it. It doesn't require selling, and the best part is, it won't take much of your time. If you really want to know how you can own your life, it is very important that you watch the entire video without skipping any of it, or else the valuable information will not make complete sense to you. You see, each lesson builds onto the next one, and by the end, believe me when I tell you this, I promise you'll have discovered exactly how to own your life that will give you and your family the time and money you all deserve. So please, make sure you have no distractions, lock your door, turn off the social media, turn your phone off or turn it to vibrate, and get your favorite beverage or a cup of coffee. Sit down, watch the video, and most importantly, be present to the information that can change your life. Hello and welcome. My name is Randy Gonzalez Jr. and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this information. Now, before we begin, what I want to do is tell you a little bit about myself, what we do, and how we expand. So let's go ahead and get right to it. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about my story. Many years ago, I was actually the general manager of one of the largest health clubs in the Valley. And when I was working at the health clubs, I was working a ridiculous amount of hours. I'll never forget the day that my daughter actually came to the health club. She was only 5 years old, and I worked so many hours, I would always tell her, Darian, go to the daycare, go to the swimming class, go do something, because I was too occupied on what I was doing. And I'll never forget the day that she actually came and she looked at me and she said, Dad, I don't even know why I come visit you, because all you ever make me do is go to daycare, and walked off. I'll never forget that day. That moment, I made a conscious decision. I said, I will never, ever hear that again. And as a result, I never had to hear it again. And I'm so grateful, even though my daughter just turned 21, we had such a life experience that enabled us to have a lifestyle that we desired and deserved. So let's go ahead and get to the information that you're actually looking for. So when we first got started, one of the biggest things that one of my mentors taught me, he actually asked me a couple of interesting questions. Question number one, he asked me, if time and money wasn't an option, what would you do with your life? And it came to actually looking at a couple of these questions. He also asked me this. He asked me, what would you do for fun if time and money wasn't an option? Where would you go on vacation? What house would you live in? What car would you drive? When would you wake up? If you made it financially, who would you give back to? And I thought those were all amazing questions that he actually asked me. And I started to think myself, what could the possibilities be for me and my family had I chose something to give us freedom that we deserved? And he told me above all things, he said, Randy, do you know what it really takes? What you're seeking can be broken down into one word, and that one word is called freedom. He said, you see, Randy, freedom is broken down in a couple of parts, time and money. You see, Randy, there's a lot of people that have a lot of time, but they have very little money. But then there's a lot of people that have a lot of money, but have very little time. He said, what you want to do is you want to have a balance of both. And the best way to do this is off a thing called residual income. Now, how many of you know what residual income is? At the time, 21 years ago, I had a little idea, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And he said, you see, Randy, it's the ability to work one time and get paid multiple times on it for the rest of your life, even after you die. Best example, many of you guys heard of the artist Michael Jackson. Well, he's passed away over 4 years ago, but last year alone, he didn't sing, he didn't dance, and he didn't perform once. But he made over $170 million not performing because of royalties. And I said, that's kind of cool, you know? Think about this. Having the ability to work one time, get to enjoy your life anywhere throughout the world, and still have a constant, consistent paycheck coming in, whether you work, whether you don't, whether you're alive, or whether you're not, and could be willed to your family. I said, now that's cool. And he said, you see, Randy, you have to have just 4 simple things. Number one, you have to have the time, you have to have the money, you have to have the health, and have fun while you're doing it to enjoy the quality of life that goes along with it. He said, we only do 2 simple things, and here they are. first thing we do is we find people that want something. He said, Randy, 95% of the population wants something. People want to travel, people want a vacation, people want to pay off their home, people want to get a new home, people want to get a car. People that just had a baby don't want to give their baby up to daycare. They said, what if I can watch my own child grow up, take their first steps? He said, people want something. And he said, only 5% of the population is independently wealthy, meaning that they just want to live forever. And the second thing that we do is we help other people do the same. So he also said another thing that we want to focus on is, here's an interesting question that you can ask anybody who's really searching for a better quality of life. He said, what if I can show you how to have equivalent of $5 to $10 million in the bank over the next 2 to 5 years? Would you want to know? See, the person that actually asked me one of those questions was the best-selling author in the world in our industry, who actually we're learning from directly. His name is Don Fella, who wrote this best-selling book, The 45-Second Presentation. And in doing so, we understood what was possible in a certain time frame, and it just blew my mind. And I believe if you're watching this right now, you're looking for something. You're looking for a better quality of life. You're searching and seeking, how can my family have true freedom in this lifetime? And it doesn't take a certain amount of time, and you can do it as little as 2 to 3 years. So let's now focus on those two important words that he was talking about, leverage and residual, the sweetest names I know. As a matter of fact, I told my daughter if I ever had any more children ever, you know what I'd name them? She said, what, Dad? I said, leverage and residual, because those are the sweetest names I know. So let's go ahead and show you an illustration. How many of you guys understand that leverage is one of the most powerful ways, combined with residual, to know how to create wealth for you and your family? Let me give you an example. Have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Sam Walton? Sam Walton started with one store, and as it grew out, he started to build more leverage, which started to actually build residual for him and his family. Sam Walton is no longer with us today, but I'm sure you heard of the company he started called Walmart. Do you realize that if Sam Walton was alive today, because of leverage, he would actually be the wealthiest man in the world? Actually, he would be 3 times more wealthier than our wealthiest man today, named Bill Gates. To give you some perspective on the power of having leverage work in your favor. So let me give you an example. So one of the questions my mentor asked me was this very question that you see, is do you think you can find at least 5 friends that would like to have the equivalent of $5 to $10 million in the bank over the next 2 to 5 years? So start thinking, do you know anybody that would like that? I'm sure you do. Let me give you an example of some people, okay? So let's say we had a gentleman by the name of Joe, and then we had Nikki, and then we had Ryan, and then we had Lisa, and then we had Tony. There's 5 people right there, right? Now the next question, let's say it took us a couple of months to connect with these 5 people. I'm going to use some extraction on the time frame, but let's say it took us a couple of months to find these 5, okay? And let's say it took them also a couple of months to find 5 people that wanted to have equivalent of $5 to $10 million in the bank over the next 2 to 5 years. That would equal 25. And let's say it took us 6 months to a year for those to find 5 people to do the same thing, which is what? Find the people that want that equivalent. Within a year or two, actually with 1 year, excuse me, that would be equivalent of 125 people. So let's say at the end of year 1, as you can see, that's 125 people. But let's say it took us a whole nother year for those to find 5 people that wanted the equivalent as well. That would be 625. And then let's just go ahead and stop right here on year 3, that everybody, if they found 5 people that wanted the equivalent of $5 to $10 million over the next 2 to 5 years, we would have 3,125 people that wanted something. So the question is obvious, that yes, we can find people that would like to have that equivalent. But what does that mean? Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. That means people want something. We understood this and we got this point proven. Yes, people want something. They want a better quality of life. But what do we require now for them to be profitable to achieve those things? We must have something like a vehicle to put them in to get there. So understand this. This is something that's very important to me, and also the person that shared this information with you to watch, because they're part of our team. Team Not About Us. Guys, exactly what that means. As a group, as an organization, as a team, we went out and sought the most powerful vehicle for our team. We could have chosen any company on the planet, but we chose to find a company that met all the criteria that we required with flying colors, and the company of choice that we found was a company by the name of Life Plus. So why out of all the thousands of companies did Team Not About Us choose Life Plus? It's very simple. First of all, for the first 50 years of Life Plus, they were pharmaceutical grade nutritional products until about 22 years ago when they started to turn it into a marketing company. Another thing, it's free to sign up, so virtually you'll have no resistance from anybody. Another thing, you'll also get a free website and free back office to check the accounting and everything that goes along with it. Now, many companies have different overheads. Our overhead is what we call 40 IP. 40 IP is just international points, since we're an international company, which comes out to about $55. And what I've discovered, it's the lowest qualification for the highest retention for long-term residual income. In other words, you don't have to qualify over and over again every 30, 60, 90 days just to maintain your same rank and income. Another thing, we have over 100 products to choose from a variety of fields, from all the ways from health to wellness. Real global presence, we have already been fully operational in 65 countries, about to open 66. And now let me show you the uniqueness and the power of what we do. Now let me briefly talk about Marketing 101, also known as traditional marketing. You see, manufacturers, they can make clothes, they can make cars, they can make virtually anything, and what they do is they take 20 to 40% profit from that to actually go and do the research and development, advertising, manufacturing, and so on. And after that, what they do is they send these products to national distributors. And from a national distributor, they pass it on to a regional distributor. And from a regional distributor, it gets passed on to a local distributor, onto a retail distributor, all the ways to the end user, leaving the retail store with the bag in hand. You see, most of the profits lie within the distribution channel. As a matter of fact, up to 60% to 80%. So for our example, we're going to use 60%. So here's what happens. What would happen if you were to cut out some of the middleman profit? If you annihilated 2 of the distribution centers, well, you would have a thing called Walmart. And Walmart actually did really, really well, as you can tell. So there was another company that came around that actually was called Costco. Costco had wholesale distribution, which offered people memberships to actually buy at wholesale rates. Imagine, I'm sure many of you have been to a wholesale place before, and you said, hey, why do I need 20 boxes of toothpaste or 20 boxes of candies so I can save a couple bucks? Well, that's exactly what happens. But did they do any advertising? Not at all. Maybe a friend had invited you to go with them and you liked the fact that you can buy in bulk. But after the second Saturday and you wanted to go again, they said, get your own membership. So this form of advertising was also done through word of mouth. Until more recent times, how many of you ever heard of a company called Amazon? I'm sure you have. Amazon did some amazing things by cutting out a lot of the distribution channel, which saved the consumer a lot of money. But what if you can get a membership to Amazon and then refer people and get paid for it? Well, we know that's not going to happen, but what if it did? You see, our marketing message is, what if we can cut out every single middleman, to cut out what we also known as middleman profit, to where the manufacturer goes strictly to the customer? Where can that 60% of the marketing go? Well, in our marketing, it actually goes to people like you and I. And this is what makes our marketing message so unique and powerful at the same time. So what is referral marketing? As you can see on the illustration here, I'm going to be explaining it to you right now. Referral marketing works differently, that the products go straight from the manufacturer to the end user. Let me go ahead and give you an illustration. You see, we've already talked about distribution and wholesalers going to the retail to the end user consumer. And if we were to put those 60% profits back into your pocket, how can we do that? As you can see on here, first we have a manufacturer that either goes to a direct sales or network marketing company, and then it goes to the distributor onto the consumer. But a lot of direct sales and multi-level marketing companies have their idea, then they seek out a manufacturer, and then they get a certain percentage or price point that enables them to actually understand how much they'll have available. Sometimes a lot of companies, they over project their projections. So as you see later on, once they get their projections back, they'll actually go to the distributors and say, hey, we have special marketing, or we have special things where we can give as discounts to the community or whatnot, basically because they overproduced and didn't want to waste their inventory, in essence waste money. And of course that is passed on to what? The consumer. So as a result, what do we actually do? What's the big difference? See, our vehicle that I'm talking about with Life Plus right now is that we own the buildings, we own the equipment, and we know exactly how much to produce based upon the auto ships. So it goes strictly and straight from the manufacturer to the end user, and this is what we call referral marketing distribution, ensuring the customer the best possible price for our customers. As a result, this is why the main reason we have no startup capital. We don't require it in referral marketing. We have no annual renewal fee. We have low monthly qualifications in the tunes of $40 IP, about $55. Also, we have the ability to have international trade opportunities without additional expenses because we are in 65 different countries. Now remember, we all have in-house production, which makes it the freshest quality possible. We are open and transparent to the formulation, so we have no artificial colors, flavors, fragrances, or preservatives. And because of our auto ship program, which is so unique, most companies, what they do is they have their auto ship program, not really much of a benefit. With our ASAP program, you actually can get a reduced rate because you're entitled to it, or free shipping. Now that's cool. And the best part about this is because all of the benefits I just listed, this is why Life Plus, we are able to pay back 61% on every dollar back to the field, and that means it could be you. Now let me talk about the most exciting portion, especially if you're seeking financial freedom for you and your family. Let me now talk about residual income. Now remember I was talking about residual and what it is and how Michael Jackson gets paid. Let's say together as a team Not About Us, not by yourself, but as a team, do you think together with you, me, and your sponsor, the person that introduced this to you, we can find at least 3 people that want something? Let's say it took us, we did 1 a month for a year, that's 12, or let's just break it down really simple. Let's say we found 3 a week for 4 weeks, and then from that point on, all we did was we taught those people to do the same thing and taught them. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say this was month 1, for instance, okay? Do you realize when we did that, your residual income, your Michael Jackson walk-away income would be about $120. Now, for a person who's not educated on wealth, they will look at this and say, $120 a month in income? That's nothing. But what a wealthy person does, the 3%ers say, hey, if this money can come in each and every month and I don't have to work for it, exchange an hour of work for an hour of income, and if I stop working, I stop getting paid, I want to do work one time and get paid multiple times on it. $120 is equivalent to this, folks. Even if it took us a month or 2 months, what would you have to do to actually get $60,000 equivalent in the bank? What are you going to do? I don't know too many people that can start from scratch in any field and earn $60,000 in the next 2 months, put it in the bank, not touch it, and have equivalent of $120. I'm sure you understand this. So let's say it took us, 3 to 4 months to actually do the next one, or 6 months. That would be about $696, about $700. But again, what would you have to do outside in a different field to earn this residually? That would be about $400,000 that you would have to make, put in the bank to earn this. And let's go over the last thing, okay? Let's say it took us a year. If you did this after a year, you would have $4,152 coming in residual, Michael Jackson walk-away income. But again, I don't know any place where you can make its equivalent in the bank $1 to $3 million. But with what I showed you, and we're just recap, what did you do to leverage yourself to be earning this type of money, which to have equivalent in the bank $1 to $3 million? We found 3 people that wanted something, that got started for free to sign up and found one thing that they really liked that knew would help their body. A lot of people get more than one thing, but I'm just saying one thing minimum to get them up and running and knowing for a fact they could be profitable in their first 30 days. I don't know any place else where somebody can do this. And if they're profitable for month 1, what's going to happen? You think they're going to want to do it again next month? They'll be profitable again, yes. And this is how you build long-term residual income and leverage for a lifetime. So, and again, as you can see, I just stopped right here at 3 months. So let's say this is just year 1. Imagine what would happen in year 2. Imagine what would happen in year 3. Imagine what would happen in year 5 and beyond. You can start to get the idea. Now remember our important question my mentor asked me. Would you want to have equivalent of 2 to 5 million in the bank over the next 2 to 5 years? This is basically year 1. So now let's talk about the differences between an occupation and the Team Not About Us formula. Let's take your current income or your future income source. According to the U.S. Labor and Statistics, the average person starts their productive life at the age of 25 and goes all the way till 65. This is called your 40-year career. In that time, a full-time schedule is considered 40 hours a week. So if you work 40 hours a week for the next 40 years, that comes out to 80,000 hours until you're eligible. Catch this, eligible for retirement. Doesn't mean you can retire, because what just happened that you guys are aware of? Back in 2008 and 2009, the recession happened, people's 401ks got slashed, so the retirement age is no longer 65, it is actually 72. But we'll just stick with the 40-year plan for most people. So what do we do that is drastically different than the occupation sign with Team Not About Us together with our Vehicle Life Plus? Here's what's different. First of all, we don't work 40 hours a week. What we do is we look for people that we find people that want something, and we teach them how to own their life and get it through what you're seeing here right now. And we don't do it for the next 40 years. We do it for about 2 to 5 years, and then we're completely done. That comes out to 2,000 hours and you're done. Do you already start to see the difference? 80,000 hours versus 2,000 hours. Let's go ahead and go on. So as you can see on the occupation side, you have a boss. A boss typically tells you, when to come in, when you can work, what you're worth, what you can get paid, and when you can go on a bathroom break. Yeah, I'm joking, but maybe I'm not, right? So as you can see, what's the difference between the occupation and Team Not About Us formula side? You see, we have no bosses. We have mentors and people that really say, okay, what are some of the goals and dreams that you have set out for yourself? And let's put together a specific action plan so you can start achieving those things right away, and then you'll start to add to some of those goals so you can do them in this lifetime. And then on the occupation side, you have no leverage. For instance, if you're working right now, if you had a friend or somebody work the same hours that were supposed to be your hours, imagine going back to them and saying, hey, why don't you pay me for those hours that I gave you that were originally mine? What would happen? As you know, they would say, are you crazy? It's not going to happen, right? So on the Team Not About Us formula side with the Life Plus, well, leverage, that's actually how it works, because as we sponsor somebody, they're going to have dreams and goals of their own, which is going to give them the ability to go out and go as far as fast as they want to, and you can benefit from that, which is awesome, by just helping them get up and running. On the occupation side, there's no residual whatsoever. The moment you die, moment you get fired, laid off, die, whatever, like I said, your income stops or quit. On the Team Not About Us side, you have residual income that starts to come in continuously for the rest of your life, even after your first month, which you will be profitable. The occupation side, you have no tax breaks whatsoever. On the other side, on our side, you have maximum tax advantages. On the occupation side, you have limited income. Why? Because you can never make more money than your boss, because if you did, the roles would then be reversed and you would start to cause massive confusion. It's like, who's in charge here, right? And on the Team Not About Us formula side, we have unlimited income, because here's what's super cool, and I believe is a fair playing field across the board. With a little bit of drive and ambition, do you realize you can make more money than the person that actually sponsored you? Now that is freaking cool. Now, on the occupation side, according to the U.S. Labor and Statistics, the average person that goes to school and gets a 4-year degree and gets a student loan, 70% of them are $30,000 to $49,000 in student loan debt. Here's another little stat I found. Within 3.5 years, 80% of those people actually they are working in a completely different field unrelated to the degree that they just earned. Now, I was thinking to myself, okay, 4 years, it's kind of a long time, but on the perspective of what we're doing, I tell the average person, listen, if you give us 4 years and you work 2 to 10 hours a week consistently, and all those dreams and things you said you'd like to do, like vacation, travel, retire your parents, maybe get a new house, new car, can virtually be all paid for, because you have leverage working for you, you have residual working for you, you have maximum tax advantages working for you. Do you start to see a difference? And I call that freedom. So here's a real question, but also a silly one. Take your age right now. How old are you? You might have to think a little bit, okay? Add 2 years to that. How old are you going to be? Now here's my next question for you. Where do you want to be? So as you can see, this is an amazing way to have those things that my mentor actually taught me, to have the time, to have the money, to have the health and fun doing it. So let's talk about getting started. There's 3 separate ways to get started. Number 1 is, you know what, Randy, for whatever reason the timing is not right, then get with the person, because your relationship is the most important thing, and tell them that, for whatever reason the timing's not right, but you know of somebody that you thought of that said, hey, maybe they can use one of these products for their body, or maybe you can find somebody that says, hey, you know what, they deserve to have some free time because they've been talking about they need money to go on a vacation. Simply just refer that person to the person who referred you. Maybe you're a number 2 type of person that says, you know what, I would like to see just what maybe one of these products does for my body, because maybe I want something to do, with the brain formula. Maybe I want more energy. Then get with the person. Remember, it's free to sign up. Get yourself an ID number and get enrolled. Or maybe you're a number 3 type of person that looked at all this information. You looked how in the next 2 to 5 years you can have equivalent of $5 to $10 million in the bank saved away. Then basically get yourself signed up. It's enrolled for free. And the other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you can actually get an ID number so you can actually get qualified to get compensated for referring other people. Then tell the person, hey, you know what? I saw the information. Wow, I can do this, and simply get yourself enrolled. And what you're going to find next is the simplicity of what we do on the Getting Started training and how we do it. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and let you get back to the person that shared this information with you. And on behalf of Team NotAboutUs and our family, God bless. We look forward to seeing you on a vacation or on an island somewhere around the world as we travel and set you up for freedom. God bless.